What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Foxhound Finance, where we analyze the stock market using technical analysis. Please understand that I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing in these videos is financial advice. Please do your own research and buy what you want to buy. All right, guys, for today's agenda, we're going to be mainly focusing on AMC because we're heading straight into a key catalyst once again with earnings coming up on 2/24, which I believe is this Tuesday. I'm going to walk you through what I'm watching for into that report. Then I will address the price targets being tossed around by the other, I guess, financial influencers out here that people ask me to cover and give my opinion on, which I will. And what I think is grounded, what I think is exaggerated, and honestly, how I personally filter out all of the noise that you guys might be exposed to on a daily basis, all right? Because I know how it goes. After that, I'm going to lay out my broader thesis on AMC, the market, including how I think the next Fed chair could shift the landscape and why the Supreme Court ruling that deemed the tariffs illegal could matter more than people realize. All right. And at the end, I will also cover RIVN, NIO, and Unity. Some people may be going finally, but I did get asked to cover and give updates. So I'll give a brief update on all three of those rather than making three separate videos. Okay. So we're going to jump right into AMC first, okay? I'm going to go over a couple things regarding AMC outside of the TA, and it goes a little something like this. So we have the structure here in front of us. We do know that the earnings is coming up on 2/24. We do know that Adam Aron has said he's got material non-public information that he's been holding on to that is preventing him from buying the stock, okay? That has been the excuse, at least. So I'm telling you right now, I believe anyway, that this information would be positive, would be bullish. All right. That's in my heart initially, that if he's holding on to this information and the way he's talking in interviews, he would not be coming off as bullish if it wasn't a bullish delivery of news, we'll say. So that is looming here. We will hopefully find out either on earnings or maybe after. Right? That is what I'm saying, because this is falling into his window where he said January, February. So if we don't get this, material non-public information released, okay, this month, that might indicate that something isn't going according to plan, or there's some bigger chess game going on behind the scenes, okay? So that's my take on the earnings report, okay? I'm hopeful that there will be something positive shared that is going to break us out of these ranges that I've been showing you guys for the last really several weeks, months here. Okay. So, and the way the structure is mapping out here, let's pull this up, because I'm going to get to the other stuff too, because the price targets that are being thrown around in the community and stuff, and this is all going to apply. So let's just go like this. When we look at the structure, you guys know that, again, these upper resistance lines in the immediate sense, right? This is your 1188 resistance line. This is the 556 resistance line. Anybody new, please watch the previous videos and you will be well informed on what this all means. All right. But nonetheless, to make it sweet and short, these two red lines we've been trying to break forever. We've been trapped under them. What did we just do last week? Well, it's funny because right here I laughed. I said, we're going to break this thing sideways. And then it crumbled back down just underneath of it. And we had a bunch of wicks going on here. We actually did officially break it for now, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4 candles outside of this resistance line. However, we did not get an impulse move up, which I thought would have looked a little something maybe even like this, even initial pop like this, where we get maybe this jump, which is still on the table because, again, we have earnings on 2/24. So call it they, market makers, evil people, evil corporate entities, whoever you think is in control of this, all the above, I think is waiting on this earnings report. I just think it makes sense why this has been stalled out like this. And then hopefully on that earnings report, guys, we're going to figure out what happens. Because again, you have 2 days essentially, right here. So I do think that whatever happens after this earnings call is going to be an impulse up or some kind of move down. So now let's go into the price targets, because somebody in the comments, like, I forget your name, it was like 6 something. You can go back and see, but he asked about this guy Nicholas Pantano and his price target of 50 cents. Well, I don't know what kind of algorithm stuff that he's working with or what kind of tools he's using, but I'm showing you guys what I see. All right. And I told you this last time. We're going to jump into the indicators that I use. So let's start off with our pivot point indicators. Okay. We have already established that these are on a, excuse me, 30-day time frame, right? So every month you have about 30 days or a month worth of your pivot points that run out right here. So you see price action trading on this right now, and it's actually, if we look at the S1, we have a candle printing right below it, which again, we don't want to see that. I've been saying for the longest time, if you want progression to the upside, you need candles printing above the S1 level and more importantly, above the pivot line here. This is your midline. This is the neutral line. This is pretty much what's determining on this indicator where price is going to go. If you get multiple candles stacking up with nice strength, nice volume, then it's a good idea. You have a pretty good idea, I should say, that this is going for, the resistance 1, resistance 2, or resistance 3. Okay. So this guy that everyone's talking about, a lot of people are up in arms about his price target. But again, if you go here and look at the S1, S2, S3, I don't know about 50 cents, but I already told you guys last video, 79 cents is technically, at least for me, this is what I'm looking at, as an S3 target level based on the February month, that yes, you could get 79. And you can always blow through the, S targets, guys. Like, for instance, you could have price action do it going up or down. So like, let's say this was going to crash down. Like, let's just say it's an impulse down. Well, it doesn't mean it's just going to stop at S2. It definitely could, but then you could get a move like this where it cuts below in between. I don't even know why I even drew it like a squiggly line. That was the wrong thing to use. Where the hell's a pilot line? So yes, as I was saying, just because you come to S2 doesn't mean you're going to land on support and just bounce immediately. You could cut through the support. Doesn't mean you're going to also come down to S3 and you can get a bounce out and then head this way. So it's all on the table is what I'm saying. I don't know about 50 cents. I don't see 50 cents at this moment being realistic. But again, you never know. I mean, you could get, an impulse all the way through for some whatever reason. But it's 79 cents for me right now is the most dire target, which I don't even think it's going to go to that level. The only thing that I would say is working in the favor of a massive or pretty harsh downside move is that we've not gotten the like super big flush move, which typically looks like that. It's a scary candle straight down, big one, right? It's a terminal shakeout move. We haven't really gotten that. Everything's been trickling and just riding this fine line. So I don't know if that's a product of it already being so far down and just having nothing but downside that we don't need the terminal shakeout. But I just feel like you got to be prepared for both scenarios. So I guess to end that rant short, I got S1 sitting at 123, which we are already hovering just under. We have the support line here that is coming all the way from the previous all-time low that was at 238 before the previous impulse move, okay? So that's riding and connecting here, and it's got a little bit of a wick in support of this, but it's not going to be super strong. I'm not even going to pretend that this is going to hold. And then you have your S2 at $1.07, which I mentioned last video, and again, that is your S3 right now. Now, when March comes and the volume is all calculated and the moves are all calculated and averages are calculated, we're going to get new pivot points. They could just be in the same general vicinity of each other, or you may see a deeper S3 on the next one. And again, too, it could work the same way where the resistances are higher up, right? Which would be also a good sign that, if those are moving up, then we might have a chance to actually really break these ranges. But that's what I'm going to say is, I think 50 cents is drastic. And again, I don't know what that guy's looking at, but I'm not going to, comment or judge or pretend to know what he's doing because I'm not in his situation. So I'm going to leave it at that. But again, this is what I'm showing you, at least from an indicator standpoint. The pivot points alone are showing me that these are some of the targets, support, and resistances that we have to attack. All right. So that is the update there on our pivot point indicator. and the price targets that are getting thrown around. And I guess with that information, you guys do whatever you want to do. Like if you think he's correct and it's going to go to 50 cents, well, then use it as an opportunity to maybe average down. That is an option. You don't have to listen to me, right? But if the stock is going to go to 50 cents before it's going to have a massive 400 or 500% rip, well, maybe that's the time to get your averages down. And then you can assess on that impulse move. Do you want to get off this train, get your money back or get a large portion of it back, and then just recalibrate, right? That's an option that you guys all have. I don't have access to your freaking bank account. You guys can do with whatever you want with your money. If you want to hold this till you're dead, fine. That's your decision. But again, not everybody wants to do that. Some people are looking to get off this train. They've learned how to trade and can do other trades. Like they don't just need one trade. And that's what I've been trying to iterate so much on this channel, is that I don't plan on just sitting here living and dying by AMC and then walking away from the market for good, right? Or going into the market blind. I really studied this stuff. I really learned all the technicals and how to be a better trader. So that's what I plan to use. So that's up to you guys. And I'll leave that little piece right there for you guys. And you can take that information, do what you want with it. But that looks good to me. I mean, at least 79 cents. I mean, we're about 29 cents from each other based on my approach, but who knows? That would be dire, though. That'd be like something super negative, I would think, or the market itself, something major's happening where we're going to have a significant freaking crash of some sort or some kind of big upset in the market world, right? But going forward, this is also what I'm looking at. And I'll jump into the other indicators. So you have this 556 dissension here. That's going to converge with the supports, right? And again, very weak support. So the time frame can change. But let's just say for now, on earnings, we do get the bounce. We come up, and maybe we only get here, and we reject the 556 again. It's around $2, $1.95, something like that. It's possible that we could get bounced around in this region, guys. I'm telling you, it would be exhausting to see it happen, but there's a reason why I have a thesis for this if it happens. I'm not saying 100% certainty it's going to happen, but you know, we could get bounced in between the support here and this resistance, right? All the way until, what do you notice? June 18th, June-ish, right in here, we'll say roughly. And that could change a little bit, I think, depending on how far AMC does go. If it goes lower, well, then you have a bigger time frame now that you can stretch this out to. So whatever the plan, the grand plan is for these behind the scenes players and who's in control of this algorithm, whatever you believe, I'm telling you right now, what I see is it can get extended for sure. I don't know about a couple of years or anything like that right now. I'm just seeing the immediate resistances in front of us, which again was the 1188 and the 556. So the reason I bring that up as a potential scenario is, one, to be transparent with you guys. I could easily milk the idiots out there and just use them for content and just blow smoke up their ass, right? I'm not trying to do that because it's so easy to do that. I know it could be easy to do it because all I have to do is jump on the bandwagon and say AMC 500 fucking K. And everyone's like, yeah, this guy's the best. And then they're just going to follow everything I say blindly. But I'm telling you, every scenario, positive and negative. So you guys are prepared and you don't really have to stress as much. But June out to this region in here is also a viable situation because you have the new Fed chair starting around this time frame, May, June. I've already established in previous videos, if you guys are here with me or not, that the new Fed chair is going to be in line with Trump's agenda. So with that being said, I expect huge interest rate cuts, especially if the court just ruled the tariffs illegal and they're not going to let Trump do what he wants with the tariffs, right? Or they're going to restrict him in some way. He is going to find another means of sort of getting what he wants or getting back at them in a way. And I feel like that's going to be a good way to do it, is to go through the Fed chair, who is more so in line with his agenda, which is massive interest rate cuts at the Fed level, right? Which is going to do what for small caps and high-risk assets? It's going to make them explode. So again, I'm just telling you, as I start to piece this together and see things, right, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, what is going on at certain time frames? And that just came to my mind like literally 3 days ago. I totally forgot about that because there's so much other stuff going on. But yeah, in this region, guys, you could see it pop in April. You could see it pop in even May. But you have to break the resistance no matter what for AMC. Okay. I'm just saying the market also is forward looking. So if they know, let's just say, I don't even know the exact day. I thought it was May that Powell was out. But let's say, the new chair is starting May. Okay. You might see a month beforehand the small caps start going crazy. Okay, and in the anticipation of this guy starting, which they know if interest rates are on the way, that getting cut, they're gonna prepare themselves accordingly, right? They're not going to fuck around and wait, right? They're gonna get positions. They're gonna start loading up on the ones that are down like this, 99%, and they're gonna watch them they're gonna ride them up. I mean, it's just what's gonna happen, in my opinion. Um, you have some different opinion on it, fine, but I'm just telling you that the way I'm seeing my charts line up with that kind of news or that kind of catalyst, I guess for my catalyst people, that's something I'm paying attention to. All right. So that's all the news and events out of the way, I think. Right. I think I got everything major out of the way. So apologize for that going on too long. But again, I can't just give you a 2-sentence explanation. That's just my weakness, I guess. Maybe my greatest weakness, greatest strength happening at the same time. So again, we're still in the bracket. I showed you guys we break out of here. Then again, we're on pace, I think, for the massive move to the upside. I broke down the massive price targets, right? The full progression, and that still applies. You break through this, you're going to have maybe some form of like pullback or resting period within this range out here at these levels, but really the next one is here, I think. All right, could be wrong, but I'm thinking when you get up here, you might see that progression. And I think it could be a good time after earnings. And maybe, like I said, 2 months prior, if we can get the breakout phase and the pullback phases out of the way, maybe when this guy restarts, right? Or sorry, when this guy starts as the chair, we'll be in that really big impulse move I spoke on last time, where you will start getting those bigger price targets to the upside. But you'll do all the groundwork first, right? Because I think they're going to try to mess with their heads in these ranges, right? There's going to be big jumps and then big pullbacks that are going to really people are going to question their decision making and if they're doing the right thing. I think that's just part of the chess game and the mind games. But if you can make it through this build-up phase, I think when we get to around April late, if this is the case, if it doesn't just go now, I'm speaking in long-term sense, around when this is all going to go down, then we would be in position for a massive impulse move, right? Like if this dude comes out and says, hey, we're cutting the interest rates by like 1% or 0.5%, something crazy, right? Then that's going to send the small cap market flying. All right. So let's just really quickly go over the indicators before I make this 6-hour long video. All right. So for the other indicators, where are we at? And again, nothing massive changed. We go to our MACD. Let's check this out real quick. You do see some thinning volume, just very flat volume. We kind of seen this before though, like going into earnings, like just choppy, sideways trading, nothing spectacular because again, you have this event coming up. So it makes sense for the MACD is relatively neutral, right? I mean, yes, it's flipped red, but look at the bearish volume is dying. So we got to hope this guy shows up. We have to hope Adam Aaron shows up for us, man, and has some killer news to share. Something big, man. We need it. We've been in here for 5 years waiting. So I'm really hoping he comes through. That's my wishful thinking side. But again, you guys know me by now. I'm realistic. Looking at your EMAs right here, again, guys, all these indicators are very, very in solid position. I'm telling you. We're in solid position for huge moves. I mean, look at how smooth this looks and the gaps between the EMAs, okay? Let me take you back to like maybe 3 months ago where I was talking about the EMA spread, right? When I was talking about the EMA spread right here, look at how this drop-off happened. You see how your EMAs are all very spread apart? Like, look at the distance. Like, down here, you have the first 3, and those are fine. Those are pretty tight. But then it's like huge gap, really big gap between the rest of them, right? Your 100, 200. Don't worry about the 255. That's just a silly one I have as extra, but still. 200 even, like, very big gap right in here from these 3. And you still got this big impulse move. So I want you to understand, like, look at the spread from the last impulse move and look at where we're at now. I mean, this is extremely pressurized. Like, there's no other way I can even explain this other than like this is just coiled down to a fine point right now. and a big move is going to happen. And we're definitely due for a move to the upside of some sort. I wanted to take you through a scenario as well, because again, I'm prepping you guys for everything, and it's just going to be a quick idea here that if you get a giant impulse squeeze like move, let's say, you know, if we go down to that $1.07 and then we pop off of it, let's just say we'll use S2. If we rip off that, let's just say we have a crazy move out of this thing, similar to this right here, okay? You just come straight out of it, big move up, and then you get stopped out, maybe to 7.4 or something like that, just above, maybe a blow off top, similar. And then after that, my fear would be that you would get a straight, you know, decline and then sideways and then something similar to this, riding all the way out to God knows what, to 2027 or something. That would be my most bearish look. I hope that's not the case, but I have to prep you guys for this, that if you do not break this and you fail to break through after an attempt or two, and let's say you come up through it and you have anything close to this where this dropped off, like, I mean, geez, I mean, it went up and then next day it was like, what, a 50% drop or something. That is not going to be a good sign. And I'm going to be paying attention to all the indicators. I'm going to be here with you guys through the ride. I'm not ever going to tell anybody when to sell their shit. I'm just going to tell you, though, that like this could be a potential thing that you see happen where it can come down and repeat that same type of pattern again, right? And then sometimes coming back up to it, maybe dropping off, whatever. Like, this is definitely something, because again, we've already seen that you can buy this stock all you want. You could do everything. You can hold it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Okay? I want to see complete obliteration of these three levels. Okay? I want to see that. If I get that, then I'm gonna get excited, because then I know we're gonna attack that cliff over here on the fucking edge. All right? Excuse my French for my non-cuss word people. But we get through this bracket down here, we're going for this. That's when I'll get excited. But if I see some stuff where it's like come up, get rejected, and chop, 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 chop sideways, and then there's dilution and whatever, you know, which I get it. They need to survive. They got to raise money somehow. You can't just pull money out of the mattress. I'm just going to be paying attention, though. And I encourage you to do the same. Don't do as I do. I'm not saying copy me, but I'm just saying be ready and be willing to wait even longer. That's your choice. All right, let's jump into the... Oh, yes, that's correct. I wanted to go back over and redraw my... Look at the VP fixed range. Fixed range volume profile. We'll take it again from our big drop here down to around the current levels. I think I got it lined up good. Here we go. Okay, let's see what we're looking at here. So on a fixed range VP, all right, again, that level sitting right at 155. So on earnings, what I will be excited about, again, I told you last video, you have this volume belly in here where it gets very weak, right? Big gap. There's a big volume gulp. There's a big volume gulp here. People, I'm just making up shit. Big volume gap here in between this bar and this bar. So here's the resistance you really need to break through from the volume profile standpoint at 157. What I think I want to see is if we can get that impulse move. This is what will be very exciting for me, and if we can confirm and stay above, is if you break through the 155, I think you would most likely, guys, come right through all of this volume on a nice... If this news is delivered and it's positive, that if Adam Aaron actually drops that this week, we'll say, not even on earnings, but this week, I think it would be cool to see this just get crushed. And we'll come through all of that, coming up to around this region. Okay? Everyone's going like, what the fuck? That's not even that cool, man. That's not even that big of a move. Yeah, I know. But it's all about progression. I'm not saying this is it, here's your squeeze. I'm saying, hey, this is you breaking this two resistances that have been a pain in the ass. All right? So if you come up to it, like I said last video, we reject, come down. I think you test this. And if you confirm, you're going off to attack that 1390 resistance line up here. And then again, we have to see how this price responds to that level, if this is the case, right? If this theory pans out. I'm telling you right now, I think that would be in the cards in some fashion. And there might be some kind of progression because you do have 556. I said this last. I don't want to keep drawing this out because it's already going to be a deep video. But again, you do have a stopping point back here that you could bounce back down to. You could also possibly get rejected out at this 556 line and come back for a pullback down to $4.07. There's all kinds of ways that this could move through this. But I'm saying in general terms that the overall move is going to head towards this line, I think. Okay, that's just what I'm seeing here. So just be prepared for all scenarios, and you guys decide what works best for you. But again, our VP range tool is telling us that there's a nice gap in here that we could just shoot right through. Very little resistance in here with these little baby bars. Okay, and again, that bar sticking out there could be a little shutdown pullback one waiting for us. My hope is that we would just say screw it, something massive has dropped, or and we just go straight up to it. I would be super fine with that as well. Why do you keep doing this? Okay. So anyways, that's just something to prepare for you guys for in the future here. Probably a short-term future, really, if you think about it. Because if this starts happening, you'll see it happening probably after hours pre-market. Like it might start happening after hours, after earnings, and the pre-market following. So we will see. All right. So I think that about covers the AMC side of things. I don't think I missed anything else. Let me just pop my indicators up. RSI is really irrelevant at this point. We already know it's like down in the near oversold region. It's just flat, not doing much. So that looks pretty good. We're already sitting at 26 minutes. So I think we covered everything from the AMC perspective, the news, some of the targets that are being thrown out, and again, forward looking with the changes coming with the Fed chair. It's all very important, guys. I'm telling you, it's going to be used as some kind of excuse. There's going to be maybe some kind of front and center catalyst for this. It just lines up good with the TA that I'm doing, and like I said, the indicators, everything's kind of coming together. I'm just waiting and just seeing at this point, right? We can speculate all day long, but for me, I think that's a general good idea of what I think could happen. And again, bearish case, bullish case, and like somewhere in the middle. That's how I like to do things. So all my AMC people, good luck with that one. I'm going to jump into NIO now. Guys, this will be really quick because you'll see with NIO, I know people have been wanting me to cover this one, but look at this on the weekly. This is also, guys, why I think we're very close, is because if you look at NIO's last fractal when it first IPO'd here, very, very similar. This is a bigger structure, but like when you see the breakdown and the hook, breakdown, hooks up, and falls off, and then you get to this portion here. And I think that's right where NIO is. And again, I told you, like, look at how it slowly trickled into this ginormous impulse wave. Okay. And the fact that we're getting close to the summer, getting close to this Fed chair starting, I do think NIO is going to repeat something very similar. I don't know if it'll be to this magnitude, but I'm telling you right now, that would be a freaking sight to see. If you were able to get in somewhere in here and it did form that way, it'd be a crazy, crazy catch. But anyways, that's really NIO. It had the big pop too. What was it? $8, right? From down here. All right. Now I was covering this during the April. This was back in April last year. I can't believe how long it's been, but when it came down here to these levels at 3 and then kept curling up and just riding up, we had the big move that surpassed the previous high, which is a good sign that the downside should be over. Right? Because this one right here was 770-ish, and it did surpass that. Okay, comes back down, and now we're trickling back up. So you'd want to see it break $8. And again, I think what would make sense, if you're not going to get this giant wave all the way up, you're just going to attack the peaks, the previous setups. Eventually, I think, again, could happen faster than eventually. But this up here, $24. Okay. So still on track, broke out of the descending resistance here, guys, from which started at July 2022. And reject. Very similar to what AMC is doing. Okay. Very, very similar. Just getting rejected at that 556 line, AMC. And you see NIO, look at this. It got rejected so long and then finally breaks out sideways and is now starting to curl up and develop. So we'll see what this next push looks like. If you break $8, I would be very excited that this may be repeating again. Okay, so that is your NIO update. Let's look at RIVN real quick. And again, I should have popped the VP on for NIO. Damn. Oh well, you guys get the point. So here's the interesting part about RIVN. So RIVN, and this is the fixed range volume profile from the low of 826 all the way up to the top here, I believe is where I drew this up. So NIO does the same kind of thing, slightly different. It's under this falling resistance in this wedge, right? And it's bouncing around inside of it. Test, 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 breaks out. And again, you have to come back down and test. And sure enough, look at where the biggest volume bars were. So when price does this, when you get past this bar, as you can see right here, look at how it was fighting all of this resistance. Came up, broke it, but it just didn't have enough strength, came back under. Went after it again, got pulled back under and gravitated towards these areas. Now, when you finally broke out of the actual structure, you know, you got to this fine point because as it was getting rejected, you are respecting the ascending support here. So that means you're going to get pinched and you're going to break out eventually, right? The resistance is going to meet that support as long as you're respecting and holding it and not creating new lows. RIVN did that. So with the breakout and the test, and then look at this push off, I do think RIVN's going to continue to respect this. Now, if it just trickles up slowly and then gets up to here, to this region in between, and then just pops out, fine. But I do think that $28, guys, is still up there for the taking. That's going to be a big decision zone because, again, when you do break that, it breaks you out of that box, and you will get a similar story to like a, you know, a Carvana, a Robinhood, because this is a rounding bottom setup. Okay, rounding bottom setups is one of the best plays that you can get into. All right, that's just my opinion, but this looks really damn good. And I know people are like, what the hell? This dropped $13 or something like that, or whatever it was, $10, right? From up here. So you definitely came down, tested this breakout zone really heavily. I mean, technically you came up and went right back here on top of it, which I thought would have made sense. And I'll show you Unity, but this looked really good. And then again, you got all the way down to the thinnest level and then pulled back. Okay. But we'll see how this transpires going forward. But right now, you're kind of fighting right now. It's a bull versus bear situation. But we'll see as we, you know, get closer, like I said, to this next couple weeks, what the overall direction is and how they're going to digest this news, right, with the market and the tariffs and all this other stuff. All right. Let's go on to, I already said NIO. We did RIVN. So Unity, another ugly retest, okay? So where I was wrong on Unity was I thought Unity would like somehow wedge itself in between the $50 level and $58 level. And if you were going to get maybe some consolidation, it'd be bouncing around in here. However, here was the other thing, because again, AMC kind of took over here in terms of attention. But Unity breaks out of, again, look at this descending resistance back here. 8/19 2022, reject, falls way down, comes back up, sideways trading in here, but rejects, finally breaks out. But where's the retest? There was no retest of the prior resistance, and you got a massive run all the way up to $50, which is really damn good. Like, that was a really crazy move from 26. That's 100%, right? Nearly. So really nice breakout, came up to the first resistance that I had marked already. I told you guys that there was going to be some kind of pullback up here. I did not expect this, though. This was one of the, I honestly thought, because again, you don't always, it's not like a true like 100% law that you will have to come back and retest this. You know, you could just have kept going. You know, and then they came out with the news that, you know, this other software or something is going to, you know, make these guys obsolete or something, which I think is bullshit. I just think this needed to come back down and retest. And sure enough, look at your volume bars right here, right? Very short, stubby bars, nothing crazy, but it came all the way back down to the retest and where the volume node was here. So what am I looking for going forward for this? Well, I think you're going to start to ascend back up out of here. Okay. And again, I'm not saying time frame, but I think this is what I want to see. A progression like this back out of this thing. Okay. And that for me would confirm that you're headed out. And again, too, when you see this like left shoulder over here, it's almost like a mirror opposite. So you might get up to this level, might be another scare situation where they could take you down to like something like this, and then you could shoot out of this, right? It'd be like the last fake out, you know? And then you go for your 109 target up here. That's what I'm seeing anyways. So all in all, guys, everything looks pretty good. But again, everything is moving at different paces. And I guess my idea was that, you know, it would be really ideal if AMC went first and we could just pull our gains, whatever you guys want to do. This is me speaking. It would be great to pull those gains out and then start putting it in other plays that I do believe are going to 3-4x minimum, because that's the point of this, right? If you guys are looking at long-term wealth, right, and how we're going to get there, I think that's the wave. But that's just my opinion. So these are ones that I all identified that have that potential. It's just going to be about what decides to go first, you know? Is AMC just going to launch, right? And we're going to hit those levels? Are we going to have the January 2021 type of situation where maybe it goes something crazy, right? You know, that's definitely on the table, but I'm trying to keep it sound with logic, because again, it's so easy for people to just get jumping onto the bandwagon of all these crazy ideas, but then it becomes exhausting when it doesn't happen. So I'm just trying to keep it, like I said, very, very neutral, you know, and nothing too wild, although it does exist. Like, it can definitely happen with the small caps. We've seen it before. But right now, what I'm seeing, guys, is exactly this. So I will keep you guys up to date if I see any major changes. Like I said, if earnings is a complete, like, absolute, like, we bomb it in a good way, then I'm going to jump on. I'll do another update, but I'm just going to be paying attention to see how that develops. All right. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, stick along with us. All right. Because again, we're getting right down to it. I'm telling you, you know, a lot of catalysts, a lot of things happening here very soon. And just the structures are starting to get really pressurized, right? Pinched down to a fine point, like I said. And we're going to get some kind of movement here, in my opinion. So appreciate you guys stopping by once again. I will see you guys in the next video.